All right, welcome back. Just buzzing through the first hour here. We did connect with Stephen Moore, and as I mentioned a little earlier in the show, the Dow's down a bit today, waiting to hear about this stimulus bill. A few months back, we had Mr. Moore on, and when Stephen Moore comes on, it's a great day for you and all of us because he was one of Donald Trump's chief economic advisors through the campaign. He's one of the most respected economists in the world, if you ask me. And I did suggest to him going back about 4 months ago, maybe a payroll tax holiday. He didn't love the idea back then, but he said it's worth the thought. And it seems like now the president is thinking about doing it through executive privilege. And to get his thoughts on it, the man himself joins us right now. Stephen Moore is with us. Hey, Stephen, how are you?
Hi, John. Can you hear me?
We hear you perfectly. Thank you.
Okay, good.
So, you know, a few months ago, I was joking around and I asked you, you know, about doing the payroll tax holiday to stimulate all the small businesses. And I know you didn't love the idea of a free giveaway like that. But it seems like the president has got warmer and now he's burning hot on it, it seems like. The naysayers are out there saying that this just helps rich people and rich business owners. It's really a two-way stimulus for both business owners and people who have jobs right now to get like a 7.5% increase in their pocket every week, every 2 weeks.
You are 100% correct. This is probably, given where we are with this economy right now. By the way, we got a really good jobs number today, so the economy's that V-shaped recovery is continuing. So my feeling is that we could get this payroll tax done. And by the way, the president may sign an executive order today or tomorrow, doing this without, with executive authority, without having to go through Congress. And that's something that I've recommended to the president. And I think it looks very positive that he's going to do this. That would mean that starting next week, every American who works would get a 7.5% pay raise in their paycheck.
Right, and then you know, quite frankly, I was on America's Agenda on Newsmax the other day, and I made a plea to the president to do it. And one of the things, you know, when they're talking about the PPP and stuff, one of the things that I thought he could do without Congress was instruct Steve Mnuchin to just stop collecting payroll tax, and he has every right to do that in his emergency authority. At the same time, the people who got PPP got 2 months worth of money, and that's all gone right now. What about maybe giving people, like, you know, their last quarter as a rebate, right, direct deposit, instead of doing the whole PPP dance again?
Well, look, I don't want to see a huge, massive increase in government spending right now. We've already spent $2 trillion on this. And as you know, Nancy Pelosi wants another $3 trillion of spending, and it's basically her list of things is all just giving money to her campaign contributors. How shocking is that? But look, I think at this point we don't need massive new government spending. We don't need the businesses don't need government help. They just need to get the businesses open. They need to let workers get back to work. I think this idea of giving people $600 a week bonus unemployment benefits has hurt the economy. It's hard for businesses to get their workers back.
Yeah, so break this down for people, because I do it in layman form, but, you know, the big argument from the left is, you know, this is a tax cut for business owners. If business owners don't have to make their 7.5% contribution, then they have more money in the bank to go hire people, right?
Of course. I mean, that's so obvious. I mean, you know, it's liberals don't seem to understand what you just said. But
yeah, exactly.
You know, by the way, John, the reason they don't understand what you just said is liberals have never run a business, so they have no idea what it means to have revenues and expenses, because a lot of them live off government, or they live off unemployment, or they live in universities where they don't have to worry about these things. But of course, if you give workers a 7.5% pay increase, you incentivize them to work more. And if you give employers a 7.5% reduction in their payroll costs, they have an incentive to hire more workers. I mean, that's as plain as the nose on your face, and yet liberals don't seem to understand it. They think it's better for the economy to pay people not to work with unemployment benefits. What we want to do is pay people to work.
Yeah, I mean, I always throw out this axiom. You know, my father and mother always used to say, you respect things more when you work hard for them and earn them. And you don't, when you get a gift, you leave your bicycle outside because you didn't pay for it. You don't care about it. But when you pay for it, you put it in the garage and you shine it up.
Yeah, the old saying is anything easily attained is lightly regarded. And so, the worst thing you can do is just give people money. Now, look, I'm not saying that this is a tough time for every American. And, my income's down a lot this year. I'm sure yours is. A lot of people have lost their jobs. We're not saying we should throw people out on the street. We're just saying, use the normal unemployment benefit system to provide assistance to people who lost their job. But it is crazy, and it's economic lunacy to be paying workers. And by the way, 5 out of 6 unemployed workers are now getting paid more money not to work than to return to the job. So, of course, they're not going to return to the job. And so a lot of small businesses are saying, as they start to rebuild their businesses, they can't get the workers back.
No, I see it. In our last minute here, I was on Governor David Patterson's New York pension task force in 2010, 2011, and we were looking at these horrible actuary tables they had. Now, one of the things that the Pelosiites want to do is throw in all this money to bail out these failing pension plans across the country. I think the pension Ponzi that these states have been using is the biggest bubble next facing our country.
I couldn't agree more. You're exactly right. And you were there in New York. I grew up in the state of Illinois. I think Illinois' pension problems are even worse than California and New York. And, they have, tens and tens of billions of dollars of pension benefits that they can never pay back. And you know how they think that they're going to pay them back? Is that Uncle Sam is going to write them a $50 billion check. And that's not fair to people in Tennessee and Texas and Florida to have to pay federal taxes to bail out the Illinois pension system.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a pervasive problem in almost all the pension plans where, they put these IOUs in there. And what most people don't realize is if a slightly larger percent of people ask to retire outlying their actuary table, they can literally corrupt the whole pension plan because the money's just not there.
Yeah, what I favor, and I think a lot of states have moved towards defined contribution plans. So that doesn't put, so you put the money in like a 401k plan, and that works well for the workers because they get compounded interest on those benefits, but also it doesn't require massive unfunded liabilities that are put on the back of taxpayers. That's what every state, including New York and Illinois and California, should do. Move to a defined contribution plan so that people can build up their own nest eggs and that you don't put massive burdens on the backs of taxpayers.
Yeah, and for those of you watching at home, when you talk about defined contribution versus defined benefit, there's plans like here in New York where the teachers union actually gets on their deferred annuity, they actually get a 12% guaranteed return, and we have years where the markets lose. So they're literally bankrupting themselves year by year by year.
Yeah, I'd love to get 12% on every one of my retirement accounts.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed, right?
Yeah.
It's guaranteed.
Stephen, thank you so much for joining us. I love seeing you in casual mode on Friday, and have a drink for us this weekend. Thank you so much for always giving you some time. Thanks, Stephen Moore.